welcome back to Ride Rescue and the 1950 Willys Jeepster build. Now that I've got the chassis all finished, I want to start working on the bodywork, and I'd like to get the firewall all finished, and then I can clean and paint all the underneath side and all the firewall and put this body back on. And then hopefully it'll be on permanently. So as I'm looking at this, I'm trying to figure out what I want and what I don't want. I finally got my new white windshield wiper motor that's electric instead of the old vacuum style. And I placed it in where it's supposed to go and everything lines up, so I know I don't have to make any new holes here. I pulled out the original battery tray. I wasn't sure if I was going to use it. I was thinking seriously about relocating it into the back, and then I remembered years ago I worked for a hot rod shop, and there was a guy there that had a 32 Tudor sedan Ford. He relocated his battery in the back behind the seat like I was planning on doing on this. Well, he had a battery fire, yet something shorted out, caught on fire, and he almost burnt the whole thing to the ground. So I don't want that to happen. If I have a battery fire, an electrical fire, all of that is going to be contained right here. Yeah, I'm going to have some wires behind the dash, but very minimal. All the real high amperage stuff will be here in the engine bay. With that in mind, going back to this original battery box, it's very solid, very minimal rust. Somebody welded something on the front of this and then cut it off, so I'm going to have to clean it up, but it'll be easy to clean up. And that mounts here on the original Willys. So I circled those holes that I want to keep. The emergency brake lever mounts right here and here, so I circled those holes to keep. Everything else I can get rid of. But here, I need to change it. I need to reinforce this area for my clutch and my brake. And then this area, I might have to change for my heating and air conditioning and the way all that mounts and the plumbing goes through. So I'm just going to plug all of these holes. So what I did is I started playing around with the position of the brake and the clutch pedals, and where my steering column came through. The steering column to be straight in front of me, sitting on the seat, is going to be just off to the edge of this original hole. So that puts my brake and clutch off so that I can clear that steering column. So I need to make two holes really close to the edge, and then I'm going to have to trim off the edge of this brake bracket right along these three holes. And then I can keep this rib style, keep this rib, and then I'll have to weld a plate over all of this. I need to start by cutting those areas, and I just cut out some steel plugs that I can put over all of these holes. I've got a whole variety of different sizes. There's about a dozen of them that I can just tack weld in on all of these that I don't need. So to make sure I have this placement correct, I'm going to mock everything up. This is my 8-inch double diaphragm brake booster. What I need to find out and make sure is that my clutch master doesn't interfere with my brake booster, and that I have enough clearance on everything that it looks decent, it functions the way it should, nothing interferes with each other. So I had originally made this up when I was trying to position everything, and now that I'm double checking it all, it's good. So we'll start by cutting this out. Alright, I got this all trimmed and fitted. Where this groove came all the way down, I just bent the edges of it up and put a cut in it, and I'll weld that, and then it'll have a nice flow all the way down and around, and it'll look like it was a factory stamp. I've got a little bit of a gap along these edges. It's tight along this edge, so I'm going to have to go back and grind it open so that my butt welds have something to flow through to. If you don't have a little bit of a gap, if it's just a real smooth butt weld, once you grind it off, you weaken that weld. And I need as much strength as possible here for these pedals. Thing with this piece, I cut it out and I tried to make it so that it would fit off of a piece of scrap that I had. Worked out perfectly. That hole right there is missing, so it's just a matter of judging that radius, and then I flattened it out because it had a curve, so I can use that as a good pattern. And then once I get it all cut, then I'll reshape it as I work around with the welder. Now I'll have to go back and grind off some of these areas where I have a little overcut, but I'd rather have it a little too big than too small. And then I can just trim it up to fit. Yeah, just a little bit big, so take a grinder on the edges and we're good. Well, that looks correct now. I just need to perfect this radius. What I'll do is I'll start by welding around here, and then I'll just tap it into place. And then I can use a screwdriver and a little prying to get that to be a perfect fit. This top half went very smoothly. It was actually kind of fun. This bottom half was a nightmare. I really struggled. I just could not get a good weld. And finally figured out I just did not have a good enough clamp area. Once I clamped it into a spot that had a good clean surface, went smoothly. As I was hammer and doweling my welds and flattening these panels out, getting it ready to spread some filler on it, I noticed this seam popped. So it was spot welded together, and over the years, back in the day when the brake pedal and the clutch pedal here, you push in on the pedal and it opened up a big round hole, which is kind of weird. Well, that pedal had a metal flange welded on it with a rubber seal. So when it closed, it would hit against that rubber seal. So every time you're using the brake or the clutch, the vibration knocked that loose. So this has separated. So when I was looking at it from the inside, I could actually see daylight through there. It had really opened up. So I clamped that down, drilled some holes in it, welded it together. So that's done. There was a bracket right here This bracket was spot welded to the top and to the firewall, and it was a bar that went to the radiator shroud area. I guess it just stabilized the nose, but it's just a single bar, so it's kind of weird. I could see it if it was cross members. I think that's what they did on the trucks and the wagons. I don't know why this had a single. But then it also had a bar that popped up from it that held up the hood, and it just rattled. It's gone. Tear it off. Clean that up. So now this firewall is all finished. I've got a little bit of grinding to do right here. Little areas, a couple spots that I missed that I welded in. And then I can spread some filler on these areas, and then I'll prime it all, and this firewall's done. So I've spread a lot of filler and I've sanded a lot of filler. I don't need to show you all that, so we'll consider this finished for now. And once I get all this cleaned up, I can clean up the underbelly of the body, get it up on its side, get it all painted, and then I can get this body back on the chassis for the last time. So that's getting pretty exciting. All right, thanks for watching. Appreciate you tuning in. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again. Goodbye for now.